So, a new IP, Ghostwire Tokyo, comes out of absolutely nowhere, and this isn't from a small indie developer either. It's from one of the biggest contributors to the survival horror genre industry, Shinji Mikami. Now, I did promise people I would make an analysis of the trailer, and so I'm going to continue and deliver on that, and I will be going through it thoroughly and giving you my thoughts. But also on top of that, I'll be providing some additional context and information afterwards using some external third-party resources to give you guys a better idea of what to expect. But without any further delay, let's just get right into it and start analyzing the trailer. The start of the trailer is just trying to show you how normal the society in Tokyo is still functioning. There doesn't seem to be anything out of the ordinary going on, and it's just everybody going around their daily lives, but it is important to establish how many people are around for later purposes in the trailer. Now on the left here, you'll see a sign that says Incident Home, and of course I do think this is related to something, and we'll probably go and explore this later in the game when we come back to this area. Now, although this is just a normal looking bar scene with the power cutting out at the end, I bet you guys may have not noticed this poster in the top left, and it's the first reference we see to multiverse. And this is going to be referenced a few times. It looks like some kind of group or concert that's happening, but it's kind of interesting, of course, considering the nature of the game. And it does look like a person in the background there of that imagery, and if you do invert the colors, it looks even more apparent, and it almost looks like the person is praying, in my opinion. Now this is what I was talking about, how it looks like a tour of some sorts, and it looks like the tour is going to consist of 4 members, the main leader, and then 3 more at the bottom, as you can see. Or maybe this is all just the same individual, and it's an artistic way to show him in different colors and formats, which would fit the multiverse metaphor that Shinji Mikami seems to be trying to push so extensively. For no apparent reason, everybody just suddenly disappears, as if the Christian rapture just occurred, and I do believe Shinji Mikami probably took some elements from that, or he basically stole the Avengers Thanos plotline. Either one works. However, in the next cutscene, there's something you may have missed. Now, after this, you'll see the multiverse reference again. This seems to be something absolutely massive and advertised everywhere, but there's also somebody walking backwards. They don't seem to be in much distress, and they also have an umbrella indoors. That's quite curious, to be honest. Now, there is an implication here that animals were unaffected, and if that is so, it would definitely fit in with the Christian idea of rapture, as animals would not actually go to heaven under a firm Christian ideology. Now here we can see a survivor that has broken down after everyone has disappeared, and honestly this gives me some Evil Within vibes, and knowing Shinji Mikami, these are going to be the last remnants and individuals that you interact with, kind of like in the Evil Within, where you have an environment and world where everything's just gone to hell, and only a few individuals that are willing to talk to you remain. I'm sure why they weren't actually affected by the blast will be explained, but these people don't seem to have any idea. I mean, breaking down, etc., into tears, and are just completely at a loss for the situation. Now there's a few things happening in this scene. One of the survivors is being attacked by what looks like a thin man from XCOM. Don't know when they arrived in the scene and decided to become a part of the plot, but they can apparently have the ability, when coming into close proximity with said survivors, to make them vanish into wherever the hell they go. And if you were wondering what they were saying, because it's kind of hard to say, it's "I've got you and goodbye."
I've got you. Goodbye.
Generic protagonist looking guy with a bow that seems to understand what's going on and is very assertive. Not much of an analysis needed here. In this scene, we have a bunch of what looks like more survivors running away from some creatures, making unintelligible and quite scary and erratic noises. Now we have some very cool looking Warframe style ninjas going on here. One of them has a staff and one of them has a bow, so this obviously leads me to believe that they're quite connected to the protagonist and probably help him through the situation. We have another supernatural entity walking through the streets looking for survivors to annihilate, and of course this gives us an implication. It's going to be like the Cabin in the Woods movie with lots and lots of different creatures that are all invading the earth at once, and so I'd expect a plethora of different enemies and different types of mechanics in dealing with them. Sorry guys, it looks like Hideo Kojima and Shinji Mikami messed up and added some Death Stranding footage to the trailer here, but on a serious note it's quite interesting. There's a bunch of floating dead bodies and then an individual wearing an Oni mask where one of the horns are half broken. Now in Japanese mythology, and I am an expert on this because I spent about 3 minutes on Wikipedia, there are many different depictions of what an Oni should be, but it is mostly negative. Now one of the ones that does seem to fit this game is a gatekeeper for hell, and one that watches over the dead. Now the fact that they have half of their horn missing seems to implicate to me that they're an outcast or did something very wrong. Either that or they just have a really edgy fashion choice. Here is another supernatural creature that we're going to encounter, and it's basically that hybrid chimera dog girl from Full Metal Alchemist. That's absolutely fantastic. Here we can see the protagonist's hand light up quite brightly, and this is probably the energy that he channels into his arrows to cause the destructive power to the supernatural entities. It also seems to give off with these two scenes that this game is going to be much more action focused rather than horror, but there's something also interesting about his power in general. Now, I'm going to be comparing these two images against each other, but if you actually look before his power hits, all of the lighting in the area is out. It generally looks very dead. All of the trees, for example, have no leaves, and the entire area is very orange, but after his power has expanded into the area, the lights all turn on, the electricity is restored, as well as the fact that life has returned to the trees. And this seems to also elaborate on the idea that this is a multiverse game and there might be two Earths, one that's in a state of decay and death, and the one that the protagonist can maybe bring back. So I'm getting some Silent Hill vibes here, where a protagonist can essentially return the world to normal. At least that's my theory, and when you look at this in slow motion, you might tend to agree with that.
Don't fear the unknown. Attack it.
Now, of course, with the statement, don't fear the unknown, attack it, many of us are starting to expect this to be more of an action game than a horror game. There's definitely going to be some horror elements. I mean, we have the creepy ghost girl, the creepy Thin Man people, the creepy things in the subway. There's many creepy elements and supernatural things going on already. However, if you do want to know a little bit more of an elaboration on this, Tango Gameworks did actually say that Ghostwire Tokyo is a new kind of action-adventure game in which you are the hero rising up to purge Tokyo of supernatural evil. Now, as you can see, they're brandishing this as a new type of action-adventure game and not a survival horror or a horror action game, nothing like that. This is going to be probably more based on action, like Resident Evil 4. Now, if you browse and scour through the Twitter for Tango Gameworks, they haven't clarified on anything else other than that one particular statement. All of their other tweets are just a little bit random, retweets and other things, and you honestly only have to scroll down for about 6 seconds before you go back to 2018 and The Evil Within 2. I do hope that they start releasing a little bit more information in the future, but we'll just have to wait and see for that one specifically. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Rest in peace, poor Dogger. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video and the analysis as always, and I'm just here to provide as much information as possible. So if you did get any information or if there's anything new that you've learned, please do hit that like, that subscribe button, come join the Discord, or subscribe $8 million to my Patreon. That last one would probably be the most preferable. I hope you're having a beautiful day. As always, take it easy and